I would love to normalize the experience of pregnancy and see more moms with support and excitement right away, not waiting weeks and months to, quote unquote, feel safe and then get that support. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 39 of Your Birth Bestie podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about announcing your pregnancy to friends and family, and a question that I get asked all the time about when is it quote unquote safe to announce your pregnancy. This episode will include some conversation about pregnancy loss and anxiety around miscarriage. So if you are not in the place to listen to this right now, please don't put yourself through feeling those emotions if you are not ready to. Tune in instead next week, where we will be talking about first trimester ultrasounds and the initial confirmation or dating ultrasound. But in this episode, let's get into the significance of deciding when to announce your pregnancy and highlight some of the emotional and practical pieces involved in this decision. It really does come down to whatever feels right for you, but you're here because maybe you're unsure what to do and what feels right, so we can talk through all of this together. Hey there, I'm Beth Connors, a midwife and mom of two, but also your birth bestie. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into everything you need to feel confident, prepared, and in control, from baby bump to delivery room, from practical tips to personal stories. We'll cover it all so you know exactly what to expect every step of the way. Let's get into it. So you might feel pressure to wait 12 weeks because that's when most people seem to announce their pregnancies, basically waiting for that risk of miscarriage to significantly decrease, which it does. But you also might be torn because you want early support from family and friends if something were to happen to the pregnancy. So telling only the ones that are closest to you is an option too. Or you might feel really excited and don't mind sharing your personal life like this and share with everyone the same day that you get your positive pregnancy test. Or some people wait until literally they physically cannot hide their growing baby bump any longer. So all of these are valid. It is such a personal choice. But I do want to first talk about why it is seen as quote unquote too early to announce your pregnancy before 12 weeks. It's common for people to wait until they are past the first trimester because this, of course, is the most common time to experience a miscarriage. Miscarriage risks decrease each day of pregnancy and actually significantly decreases in the first 12 weeks. I don't know about you, but I was one to completely obsess and worry about miscarriage with my first two pregnancies and would actually look pretty frequently at the miscarriage probability chart online, feeling reassured each week by the decreased number, but it was also something that was just constantly in my mind. And I know I am not the only one that does this. There is so much unknown with pregnancy, and everyone has a different experience, so it's hard to feel the emotions of being excited while also guarding your heart in case something bad does happen. What I can tell you, though, is even after 12 weeks, I was just as nervous something was going to go wrong and just was anticipating what the rest of pregnancy would bring, what labor and birth would look like, if my baby would be healthy. And this was my first experience with pregnancy. This is how I felt the entire time. Then when I had my baby, I realized, keep in mind, I do have anxious tendencies, which have actually much improved, thankfully, since becoming a mom. But I realized that the worrying never completely went away. As moms, we worry when our kid gets their first fever, or we think they're going to hurt themselves when they're going too fast downhill on their new bike, or thinking, how are they going to do without you, whether that's at daycare or if you send them to a friend's house or a family member's house for a couple hours. The worries are always evolving, but we always want what's best for our babies, and it's hard not to want to completely eliminate any harm or things like that, literally starting from the moment that you find out you're pregnant. But the truth is, a lot of it is actually out of our control. In pregnancy, we can take our prenatal vitamins, eat healthy, exercise, meditate, journal, get enough sleep, and the list can just go on and on. We can do everything, quote unquote, the right way, but still have something happen to the baby or to us or to our child as they get older. It's just how things sometimes happen. It's scary to think about, and if you are struggling with the what ifs, or if they are completely consuming, it might be time to consider looking for a counselor to talk to and explore these feelings with. But to some degree, we all have in common that we want what's best for our kids, and it is natural to worry. And then, of course, if you or someone you care about has experienced fertility struggles or a previous miscarriage, that can be hard to separate your emotions from their own experience. Learning that a friend or a family member has lost a pregnancy or a new baby has actually happened to me several times in the last few years, and my heart absolutely breaks for their loss. Being pregnant or even as a mom, it's challenging to wonder, will the same thing happen to me? Also, because we hear of how common pregnancy loss is. And if you didn't know, it is estimated that 1 in 4 pregnancies results in a miscarriage. So that's a lot of moms and parents and families who are affected. So it's a common thing that happens. And of course, that's going to be something most moms fear early on. But I want to reassure you that it isn't something you can control. So trying to have the fear of losing your baby not overpower the joy and excitement of pregnancy is really what I urge you to focus on. Being present, focusing on what's happening now, what information is in front of you or that you already know, can reassure you that everything is unfolding perfectly as it can right now. And if something else does come up, you will address it then and not any sooner. This is general advice, but that is not everyone's perspective, especially those who have experienced loss and who are guarding their heart from being broken again. I completely understand that as well, but just trying to remind families that focusing on the present is so powerful, and enjoying what you are feeling now is a special experience to give yourself to. So we briefly mentioned the increased risk of loss before 12 weeks of pregnancy, and that's why couples often wait. But I also want to give you some reasons why maybe it would be good to announce your pregnancy earlier. If you are someone who is excited and wants to share your news with those that are close to you, at least the ones that you would want to know and have their support if you did end up having a miscarriage, that is where many people fall as well. Some people who have had the experience of loss, I've heard both ways actually, but one idea is that they didn't have time to celebrate their little baby, and the news of loss was what they shared with their loved ones, if they decided to share that. And they wish they would have had announced earlier and had those moments of excitement. Some people want to share their excitement for as long as it lasts, of course, hoping for a healthy, full-term pregnancy, hitting all of the exciting milestones. Sharing the news early can help you build that strong support network early on, and your friends and family can offer emotional support and assistance throughout your pregnancy journey, which I think can be really helpful during that first trimester too, where you might be feeling nauseous and fatigued and need help around the house or with other kids, things like that. The last reason I can think of is sharing the news early can help reduce feelings of isolation. Knowing that you have a network of people who are aware of what's going on and supportive can be comforting. Not every pregnancy is planned and initially welcomed with excitement. There are a lot of factors at play. So working through these emotions with loved ones early on can be helpful too if you decide to go this route. And the other option to consider is, why would it be a good fit for you to wait until after 12 weeks to announce your pregnancy? If you and your partner are people that prefer to keep things in your life private, you may want to keep this to yourself for a while. Or you may want to process it yourself and ensure that everything is progressing well. That's perfectly fine too. You are 100% on your own timeline, and it doesn't matter what anyone else does or thinks about it. It ultimately just matters what you're comfortable with. Also, the biggest reason many moms wait to announce is, like we said, due to decreased risk of pregnancy loss, from about 30% chance of miscarriage at 3 weeks to about 1% at 12 weeks. So this is pretty substantial for sure, and why a lot of families wait. Some couples also may want to wait until they have a certain medical test or screening done, such as the first ultrasound, to confirm the health and the viability of the pregnancy before announcing it. If you are not sure when ultrasounds are usually offered in pregnancy, I will actually be getting into that next week in episode 40, so that would be a good one to listen to also. The important part to remember is that this is a personal decision and everyone has their own timeline. There's absolutely no right or wrong way to announce that you are pregnant. I would love to normalize the experience of pregnancy and see more moms with support and excitement right away, not waiting weeks and months to quote unquote, feel safe and then get that support. Because if the first 12 weeks are full of fear, nervousness, and isolation, that's not the way that I would choose to start off. I hope, if anything, this episode encourages you to prioritize your own needs over other people's expectations, and the decision to announce your pregnancy is highly personal. What matters most is you prioritizing what you need. Thank you so much for tuning in today. When you are ready to start to get into what to expect right from the start in early pregnancy, what each prenatal appointment will bring, and eventually how to prepare for labor, birth, and postpartum, message me the word READY, and we can chat about what you're looking for and the support that would be most helpful to you. You can find me on Instagram at BethConnors_CNM or send me an email. I am happy to also jump on a free Zoom call too if you have more specific questions about how you can work with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to chat soon. Bye, everyone.